Pro Bowl voting is here. An awesome Pro Bowl starts with awesome players, and your vote helps decide who gets a spot on the AFC and NFC rosters. Show your love, cast your vote, and make sure your favorite players make it to the 2020 Pro Bowl. Vote today and be entered to win exclusive prizes at NFL.com/Pro Bowl vote.
And now, Move the Sticks. 10 takeaways from Week 11 with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, and Rhett Lewis.
Oh, here we go. Welcome, everybody. It's the Move the Sticks podcast here, the 10 takeaway podcast on a Monday following Week 11. Rhett Lewis, Bucky Brooks here with you in studio. And our guy, DJ, is on the road today, getting set for a big Monday nighter in the AFC West on the color for the Chargers radio broadcast with his partner, Matt Money Smith. And they're in Mexico City. DJ joining us from international territory. Welcome, my friend. What's going on?
I got to tell you, boys, I was just thinking about this, and Buck's done shows from London.
That's right.
Now I add Mexico to the mix. We've done it from the Senior Bowl in Alabama. We've done it from the Combine in Indianapolis. I know I did it from a hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, really, we're taking this thing worldwide right now.
It's Move the Sticks worldwide coming to you. I love it. Look, we've got our 10 takeaways loaded up. I did just see one thing come across the news blast here just as we fired up the intro music, and that was that Matt Nagy says the injury for Mitchell Trubisky is a right hip pointer, which occurred, as we've all kind of pointed out now since going back and look at the tape, on a hit in the second quarter from Rams defensive end Michael Brockers. So I know we're going to get to the Rams takeaway here shortly on their win on Sunday night, but just figured I'd mention that to us as well. I guess Nagy might update a bit more, has not talked about the availability yet, but that was a weird situation.
Yeah, that was an ugly game, boys.
Yeah.
I was watching it, and I'm watching it here in Mexico City, and it's not an English broadcast, so I don't understand one thing that's being said. But ugly football is an international language. Let's just put it that way.
And what did you get a chance to watch some Mexican Red Zone? Is that what I understood?
Oh yeah. Hey, Buck, you'll love this. So they show on the Mexican version of the Red Zone. Obviously, it's a big soccer, culture down here. Mm-hmm. So they show not I know the Red Zone, they brag, we show every touchdown. Well, they show every extra point.
Yes.
And the way the guy calls these, literally, me and Money were watching it, and it's like touchdown. Okay, that's kind of the big deal we're used to. And the extra point's just kind of a matter of fact. The extra point goes in, and I hear it's Steven Hoshka. That's awesome.
I mean, it's like every extra point, like Vinatieri making the winning kick in the Super Bowl for the Patriots.
Oh, great. The passion.
No, I love it. All right, let's get fired up here with the 10 takeaways. And DJ, you're going to lead us off here with the first one.
Yeah, look, we're gonna get into Lamar Jackson and how great he played. But I don't know that we were all that surprised based on how he's played this year. My first takeaway, the Ravens have a pass rush.
1st and 10 Texans. Ball is at the Ravens' 45-yard line. Watson with time. Now he drifts to his right. He's cornered. Spins out of trouble. Still scrambling and finally sacked back at the 45-yard line. Matt Judon tracked him down. The ball came loose, and the Ravens recover. Jalen Ferguson recovers the ball, and the Ravens offense will take over from there.
Look, that was one of my concerns with this football team. Offensively, they were going to be exciting with Lamar Jackson. He's obviously taken that next step in his development as a passer and as a legitimate MVP candidate. But when you look at the offseason, even though he was older, you lose Suggs, who had so many, big plays and big-time pass rush performances for this team. Zadarius Smith, we've seen what he can do, the way he's playing ball. So they had some key losses, and I didn't know if they're going to be able to rush the passer. And quite honestly, early in the season, they weren't rushing very well. And all of a sudden, you pick your head up. They make the move to go add the corner there in Marcus Peters, get Jimmy Smith back. It's a great testament, Buck, to when you have the back end solidified, how it gives you a little bit more time to get home. And here they are, 7 sacks in this game. Matt Judon, 2, Bowser, 2, 10 quarterback hits. That looked like a Super Bowl caliber defense the way they got after the quarterback.
Absolutely, I agree with you. The defense has looked lights out. And actually, I think it kind of coincides with Marcus Peters coming over. I'm not saying that he is the guy that kind of got it going, but adding another piece to the defensive backfield enabled them to play more man-to-man. They've been really aggressive, in-your-face, tight, sticky coverage, giving their pass rush an extra second or two to be able to get home because they're not giving quarterbacks the layups. But then it's not just what they're doing in the back end. Man, Wink Martindale is bringing pressure from everywhere. They're coming at you from different angles. They're blowing up your protections. They're getting big hits on the quarterback. And I don't believe it's coincidence that now that you're starting to get the hits on the quarterback, we're beginning to see the turnovers and takeaways come from the Ravens defense.
Well, and guys, we talk about roster construction a lot on this podcast, and I think the Ravens are always an interesting case study. And DJ, certainly since you've spent some time there, you have an idea of how it goes. And I think a lot of times when we talk about pass rush and elite pass rush, we tend to think of the elite or the highly drafted players. Matt Judon, 5th rounder in 2016. Tyus Bowser, 2nd rounder in 17. Jalen Ferguson, 3rd rounder this past year. And they've taken a little bit of time to develop into their own. This is clearly going to be, if Judon continues on this pace, his best season. This is really the first we've start to see Tyus Bowser come along, and now Jalen Ferguson as a rookie. DJ, give me a sense of what it's like and the value it is to be able to generate a pass rush from guys that you're drafting on day 2 and 3, as opposed to like those top 10 Myles Garrett type players, the Bradley Chubb type players.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. You'll find some organizations where they have, look at the Steelers, what the Steelers have done with wide receivers.
Another great one. Yeah.
And they have a comfort level in their evaluation process. They know what it looks like. They know what it feels like. They know what it smells like. And it's a great advantage when you've scouted there, because you go out to the practice field every day and you see the traits that matter, the traits that carry over, what works in the league, because you see it every day at practice. That's why it's hard. Buck, I'll get your thoughts on this, because I know you always reference, I think, a conversation you had with Ozzie at one point in time, because we always talked about production in college, how it translates to the next level. You see it with guys like Max Crosby, a bunch of these players around the league. But when you are on a team that has elite level players and you get to study them through training camp and you're around them and you watch them, I think it's like they say with counterfeit money, right? You don't go study all the fake money to know what a fraud looks like. You study the real thing. Once you know what the real money looks like, you can spot a fraud.
It's a good point.
And that's what helps when you have those players, over decades, they've been able to watch elite defensive players really at all 3 levels.
It's funny that you brought that up, that conversation with Ozzie, because I was writing in my notes the names that you referenced, Matt Judon, Jalen Ferguson. When you go back and you look at what those guys did as collegiate players, they were both dominant pass rushers off the edge. They had proven production. In fact, Ferguson broke Terrell Suggs' career record when it came to the FBS level in terms of career sacks. Judon being a guy that consistently got to the quarterback. And so
at Grand Valley State, right? Not at elite level, but sack production.
Sack production over multiple years. That's what Ozzie had told me. And so then, to DJ's point, he talks about being able to look at it and see it. Well, yeah, when you are in training camp every day and you see a Suggs dominate year after year after year, you had Elvis Dumerville there for a little bit. You've had other players that have been successful pass rushers there. Well, naturally, you begin to understand what it takes to be successful in that league, and you kind of model your evaluations with those guys in mind. I think the Baltimore Ravens just have a knack. They understand the sweet spot when it comes to evaluating pass rushers, which is why they're able to find guys that can make it happen.
All right, Buck, you want to get us to takeaway number 2?
The Vikings weather the storm.
1st and 10 from Denver's 32. Cousins under center play action. Bootlegs out to the left. Looking to the left. Firing. Caught. Rudolph. 10-5. Touchdown! And the Vikings have taken the lead. What a fantastic bootleg call and a total breakdown in coverage by the Denver Broncos.
This is a fascinating game to watch. The Denver Broncos played about as perfect as you can play a first half. They got everything on their terms. Everything was going their way. They were dominating the game. They were taking the fight to the Minnesota Vikings. You talk about being down 20-0. The thing that I loved about what I saw from the Vikings, they stuck to the script. When we talk about weathering the storm, so many times we've seen teams that are down 20-0 just completely abandon what the original game plan was, come out throwing it all over the yard, and they only find themselves getting blown out. With the Vikings, they stayed true to who they were. You notice that Kirk Cousins had 35 pass attempts. That's about what they want to kind of limit him to. They don't want the pitch count to get out of whack. And they only ran the ball with Dalvin Cook 11 times, but they stayed with the game plan in terms of I saw a lot of play action. I saw a lot of bootleg action. I saw a lot of the things that they normally would do when they were up, they were doing when they were down. Stephon Diggs had a big game, 121, had a touchdown.
The big touchdown.
The big play, the explosive chunk plays that you're always looking for off play action. They were able to get those. And to their defense's credit, man, they bowled up. They did a great job in the second half, giving them multiple opportunities to get back in the game. And when the offense is playing efficiently and the defense is playing at a lights-out level, the Vikings are hard to stop.
And DJ, when you're watching a game like this that is such a tale of two halves, like you either got to wonder, okay, did we go in at halftime and did we make a certain adjustment? Are we going to try to do something completely different here in the second half, or are we just executing better? How did you feel like that one fell for the Vikings in the second half?
Well, I thought they were just crisp. When you watch this Vikings offense in the second half, I thought they were crisp. I thought Cousins was taking shots when they were there. But Bucky, I think, hit it here too. You're going to have a big comeback like this. We get carried away and go, man, they scored 27 points in the second half. Well, that doesn't matter if they don't get stops. And they were able to limit them to 3 points. I do want one quick takeaway. We keep the train moving here, but Cortland Sutton, man, he's developing into a very good receiver. And, we kind of talked about this the other day on the pod about receivers outside of round one that are having success and finding success. Another great example with how he's come along.
And by the way, the Vikings become the first team over the last 5 seasons to go down 20 or more points at the half and come back and win in the second. So pretty impressive for a team that's very much in the hunt as a contender in the NFC in a very competitive conference. All right, I'll get us to takeaway number 3, and that is kind of similar to what Kirk Cousins did in the second half. Dak Prescott proving his worth.
It's 3rd down and 7 at the Lions 17. Snap is back. They blitz. And he flips it out right. Elliott picks it off the ground. 20, 15, 10. Touch left. Dances in. That's a touchdown. And Elliott comes up doing his impression of the Prescott hip swivel warm-up dance. Wow.
I mean, it was good. I really appreciated that, and I thought it was, some nice levity for Zeke on a day where, he got into the end zone twice, but again was limited in his production on the ground, which brings me back to Dak, right? I think we've had a take similar to this, Bucky, maybe earlier in the season when they were 3-0 and Dak was on fire. Like, Dak, let's pay Dak, right? Let's get this done. And you understand why. And I think we're back to that here at this point in the season where the Cowboys have a combined 125 yards rushing as a team the last 2 weeks. Combined, 125 total. That's what Zeke does on a regular basis by himself in a single game. So they have put the game on Dak's shoulders in the last 2 weeks. I get they lost last week to a good opponent in the Minnesota Vikings, but I'm not putting that loss on Dak by himself. Now, I am putting this win on Dak. Going over 400 yards right now. He's got over 1,000 yards since week 9. That's the most in a 3-game span in Dallas Cowboys franchise history. He's got more 400-yard games than any quarterback in the NFL this year. When they have forced him to throw the ball, he's come up in big spots. Pay man.
This is funny because we're seeing the evolution of the Dallas Cowboys offense. This is a team that was known for being a run-first team to now they're a pass-first team with Dak Prescott playing the leading role. I'm just going to read off some numbers to you. This is Dak Prescott's last 16 games and the production that he has put up over those 16. 69.3% completion rate, 4,968 passing yards, 8.5 yards per attempt, 37 touchdowns, that's 32 passes, 5 rushing, only 12 interceptions, a 104.8 passer rating, and an 11-5 record. So when it comes down to doing that negotiation, man, I want to be Dak Prescott's agent because that's an easy sell for me to get my 3%.
And guys, I'm watching the way he played, and I watched this game yesterday. And while I'm watching the game, Henry, our buddy, who helps run NFL International, we were watching the games about the potential expansion to 17-game schedule, which has been kicked around. And I'm reading this article, I think it was by Lockenfora, and kind of detailing how this whole revenue pie, how they're going to be able to get an extra wild card, they're going to be able to get an extra game with 17 games. And I'm sitting here going, hold up now. I'm watching Dak just light up the Detroit Lions. And I'm sitting here, if I'm Dak's agent right now, heck no am I signing anything. I'm going to wait. You're going to be patient.
Oh, yeah,
you want to grow this pie? I'll go ahead and wait on that because I'm going to get a nice chunk of that pie.
Oh,
I think in this case, the Cowboys made a mistake. What would have looked like overpaying a month ago is going to be a bargain by the time this deal gets done.
You might be right.
Well, we'll go all the way back to last year when people were balking at $23 million per year when they wanted.
The number's 40 now.
Literally, people were laughing when they threw that number out about it being $40 million. But I think if you continue to look at the way –
deal, Buck.
you look at the way that he has been playing. I mean, look, make no mistake about it. This team is being run through Dak Prescott. He is doing a great job of getting the ball out with the playmakers. And as they continue to win, with him kind of being the focal point, I just believe the price just continues to go up. And so all the leverage is in his favor.
And last thing I'll say, and DJ, you can get us to the fourth takeaway here right after that, is it wasn't Amari Cooper in this game. Dak raising the level of everyone around him. Michael Gallup, Randall Cobb, both over 100 yards. So I think that's an important piece of it.
That is a very important piece because a lot of the conversation had been, hey, Amari Cooper.
He's only doing it now that Amari's here, right?
Elliott, the offensive line, all those guys are elevated.
No, it's Dak.
This was his opportunity to show people that, look, I'm the one that can elevate others. So good game for him.
Yeah, no, he was impressive. All right, I'll keep it rolling. We'll stay at the quarterback position here. And let's go to the Jets. I know the schedule has not been difficult, but my takeaway from this one, Sam Darnold, I think, is very mentally tough.
Darnold back to throw, looks left, has time, fires one down the left sideline for Crowder. He's got it, front left pylon, and he's in. That's a Jet touchdown. Sam Darnold with his fourth touchdown pass of the game. That's a career high, and the Jets extend their lead.
Hey, look, this is what the Jets need to do. You play bad football teams. The Jets are a bad football team. They're not a bad football team. They're playing like some doubly bad teams here in this stretch of about 5 games. And we talked about it at that point in time. Let's wait and evaluate where he is in his growth once we get through this layup schedule here and see if he can take advantage of that. And thus far he has. I think it's interesting when you go back and look at it. 7 picks in the New England-Jacksonville back-to-back games, right? It was the big storyline, 7 picks in less than 7 days or whatever it was, maybe 4 days, 5 days. If you look at the other 5 games he's played this year, he's thrown 3 picks total in those 5 games. So really, Sam Darnold's laid 2 bad eggs, don't get me wrong, terrible performances. But I think when we get some context here and you look at the way he came out of that, to me, that shows a little bit of what he's about. Some mental toughness, did not go in the toilet, was able to rebound. I had heard the story. I guess it just got reported, but I'd heard about it at the time that he went into Adam Gase's office and said, look, I know everything that you want to do, but this is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I want to do. And I think that was a good process for him to be able to get together with your play caller and say, I don't like that. I don't want to run that. I haven't been good at that. Let's run this. And I think that's had an impact. A couple other numbers, I was just looking this up. The Jets this year have not had a running back gain over 70 yards in any ball game. Lev Bell had 70 yards once against New England. The offensive line, they've allowed 41 sacks, third most in the league, one behind the leaders. So this team, they don't have a lot of pieces. But I think, Buck, when you look at this individual player, be patient, everybody, because this guy's very talented, and you're starting to see glimpses of it.
2 things that stood out. You kind of letting everyone know that Sam Darnold had a conversation with Adam Gase. Talked about, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. We would be at our best if you allow me to kind of do the things that I do really well. I think that's coaching 101. I think most coaches should talk to the quarterback and try and view the game from their vantage point as opposed to the play caller's vantage point. So that kudos to Sam Darnold for stepping up and being able to do that. Secondly, you talk about the mental toughness. We will eventually talk about Chicago and Mitchell Trubisky, but we're at a time now where the outside noises are louder than they've ever been. Each and every week, every day, hour by hour, players hear the constant chatter about how you should be playing, whether you're disappointing, whether you're ahead of schedule. All of this conversation that kind of, I would say, permeates their brain, gets into their thinking, their thought process. For Sam Darnold to be able to block all of that out and to just focus on what is in front of him speaks volumes to what he will be as a franchise quarterback down the line. His ability to just ignore the white noise, the skepticism, and all of the criticism, that might be his best trait, and it might be the reason why he's able to pull himself out of a tough moment and really thrive when he gets a shot.
Guys, on the other side of this thing, there's a rookie quarterback who, in a way, has been where Sam Darnold has been as well. You know, starting as a young player on a bad team, and that's Dwayne Haskins. And you've now seen the viral interaction he had with his offensive lineman where he's kind of pleading to the O-line, what can I do to help you? And it's kind of met with, well, just very little reaction at all from the offensive lineman. I think Morgan Moses seemed to be really the only guy out there who was really acknowledging it, although you can't really see what Scherf and Rouillet are saying back there as well. But it just, is it always value gain for a young quarterback getting starts as a rookie on a bad team, or is there a way where, you know, it goes the other way, where it's, you know, now like you don't want this type of experience for a young quarterback? Is there a distinction we can make on that?
I don't know, man. You know what's fascinating to me, Rhett, is when you look at normally you have a young quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And you change coaching staffs. The fear is, okay, this new staff comes in, they didn't pick me, I wasn't their guy, so it doesn't make for an easy transition. This is going to be one of the more interesting ones because it's been out there. Look, I don't think this was the coaching staff's guy. So I don't think, you know, for whatever we've heard about, you know, what he hasn't done in the process, and he can own some of the blame here for why this hasn't gone well. But he was not their guy. So I'm fascinated to see what happens when the new staff comes in. Do they buy in? Do they believe? And if that's the case, I think he's still got a shot because I think I think Dwayne Haskins has a lot of ability.
No doubt.
But there's got to be a connection. There's got to be buy-in. Or you bring somebody in that doesn't believe in him, then the blueprint is out there. We saw it with the Arizona Cardinals. They did it. It got a lot of chatter,
again.
but that was the right move to take Kyler Murray. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with this team in the offseason.
Yeah, it is going to be fascinating. I will say, to Dwayne Haskins' credit, he is attempting to kind of mature and grow into that role. The problem that you have in Washington, you have a lot of old players who've never won anything. And so they don't know what a winning culture should be like and how it should be about uplifting and elevating a young quarterback and doing those things. And so I think what he's in a bit of a quagmire because they haven't gone anywhere in years. And I don't know if this crew that is currently in place can get them over the hump. So he is trying to learn how to play the quarterback position, trying to learn how to be a franchise quarterback, but he's going to need some assistance from some real grown-ups to help him kind of make it happen.
Do you guys real quick, both you guys real quick, tear down? I mean, is this a total tear down after the season?
Feels like it.
I think so. I don't know what their salvageable pieces are. I mean, I like some of the things that they have on defense.
Kerrigan,
and some of the Alabama defensive
D-lineman,
guys. Terry
Payne.
McLaurin obviously has been good, but I think this team's one, whoever takes over, I think you got to blow everybody out the building. Like everyone on the coaching side, the football operation side, you have to blow everybody out because I think you need to stockpile it with some fresh energy, some fresh blood or whatever. I'm just worried about these old guys that have been there for a long time. It's kind of like the same old Redskins year after year after year, regardless of who's in charge.
There's pieces, right? There's pieces that you can use on the way to a rebuild and a retool, which
got to fix the running game, got to make sure the O-line is straight.
All right, Buck, let's take us to the AFC West, brother.
Jon Gruden has Derek Carr balling.
Carr is going to throw it. Drops it wide open. Touchdown. Touchdown. Foster Moreau's fourth touchdown catch of the season. A very well schemed play. He broke open. The Bengals had no idea how to cover him.
You know, I wrote about Derek Carr this week in my notebook, and the more I look at Derek Carr on tape this year, the more it reminds me of one of my former teammates, Rich Gannon, and the way that he performed under Jon Gruden. I am seeing an efficient, effective quarterback that is getting the ball out faster than anyone else in the league. He's doing a great job of utilizing all of the weapons at his disposal, and when it comes to reading routes and understanding progression, he is getting to the check down. And a lot of times you don't see people go through all of the progressions to get to the check down, but he's doing it, and he's doing it quickly. That is why they're beginning to stress the defense, not only vertically and horizontally, but they're being able to do it because they're bringing those guys to the line of scrimmage, because the only way you can stop the check down is to rally and close. He has been terrific for the Oakland Raiders. I really like what they're doing on offense because it's an old school offense with some new school principles.
And obviously Josh Jacobs a big part of that as well. And look, I think, there was a thought that when Mike Mayock made the call about the foundational pieces, it was met with some skepticism, right? Especially with Furl at number 4, and you go down the line. We haven't hardly seen Jonathan Abram, this year. After he's been on IR, so when that comes back, you add that to what we've seen now with Furl had 2.5 sacks last week. Crosby has 4 this week. Trayvon Mullen comes up with the interception this week, starting to play a little bit better there. This is a really impressive haul, and by the way, their pick from the Bears might end up being really good this coming year. DJ, it's starting to look pretty good there for these young players, that young core.
Well, this is the fun part because they've baked the cake. The cake has been baked. Now the fun part, the frosting's the good stuff. Now you get to go have fun in the draft. You want to go get some speed, some receivers. You want to get some playmakers. Now they've built it the right way. Put it that way.
Yep.
They've built the foundation. And I'm telling you, when you have, and it looks right now the way Carr's playing, if you have what you think can be your quarterback going forward, Derek Carr's only 28 years old. So if you think you have that guy for the next 6-7 years, man, you know how much fun it is when you've got high picks courtesy of trades and you can go out and shop. This is the fun stuff, man. Like everybody else that's picking up that high, because that Bears pick is going to be a top 10 pick as it looks right now. They need quarterbacks. They need pass rushers. They need offensive linemen. The Raiders have built that right now. So now you're going to get a chance. They're going to have a chance. They might get the best receiver in the draft if they want him at that point in time. They have a lot of different options is what I'm getting at. They could trade back and still get a great receivers and pick up more picks. The world's your oyster. They've built it the right way.
Hey, DJ, to this point, I don't know if you got a chance to see the tweet. I retweeted the Around the League tweet about Mike Mayock and all the rookie success that they're having.
Right now. Yep.
And we've talked about building it the right way. What we talked about shortly after draft day was we talked about culture changers, how all of those young guys that they drafted not only had great football character, but they came from winning programs. And when you're trying to do a rebuild and you're trying to reverse the fortunes of a franchise, you need guys who understand what it takes. I think Mayock and the Raiders have brought in enough guys that are used to winning. And I think that just kind of makes it contagious in the locker room. Those guys are willing to buy in. They're selfless. That's all they know. And I think that is why the Raiders have had so much success with these first-year guys kind of driving the bus.
So Max Crosby has 4 sacks in this game, as I mentioned. What did you find from the box score on the Chicago Bears defensive side? DJ, did you see Khalil Mack's name anywhere? Did you see his name anywhere?
Yeah, pitching a shutout is good in October when you wear a baseball hat. It's not good in November when you wear a helmet. And he a donut. And I believe he has 1 sack in his last 5 games. And I know there's more to that. And obviously, you want pressures, and I get all that stuff. But what I'm getting at is this trade is looking better and better for the Oakland Raiders as we go down the line here.
I would agree, and I will get us to our next takeaway here, which is again a little bit similar to how the Raiders kind of made up their draft class, but the Colts just know how to win.
And they'll give it to Williams here up the middle. He's got a first down, breaks at 50. There he goes. Williams 40. He's at the 30 down the near sideline. 20. He's at the 15. Cuts back, and he gives himself up at the 10-yard line. Longest run for Jonathan Williams. First down to the 10 for Jacksonville. It'll be first and goal for the Colts.
Here we sit on a Monday following a Week 11 Sunday. 4 days away from kicking off Thursday Night Football in Week 12, and the Indianapolis Colts are in first place in the AFC South. And it will be a battle for first place again on Thursday night against the Texans, because if the Colts go into Houston and actually lose, the Texans go right back to the top. But this is the position that they're in, with Jacoby Brissett coming off a week where he missed a game because of a knee injury. He comes back banged up, big old knee brace on, cuts on a dime. Leaving Calais Campbell in his wake to get loose and throw a touchdown pass to Marcus Johnson. to Chester Rogers to Zach Pascal without T.Y. Hilton, their best skill player. Oh, by the way, Marlon Mack runs for 100 yards and breaks his hand and misses most of the second half. Then they just throw in Jonathan Williams, who comes in and he runs for 100 as well. These are the kind of things you can do when you invest up front in offensive line, which the Colts certainly have. They went into Arrowhead, if we back it up about 5 weeks, and beat, at the time, a team we're considering the best offense in football without their best defensive player in Darius Leonard. They have missed key players time and time again throughout this season, and they continue to be a playoff contender in the AFC. They are a confident team. They are a well-coached team, and that will always make them a dangerous team. Also, what happened to the Jaguars defense? Anyway, that's another story, but continue on the Colts.
No, I think that what is fascinating, we're seeing at a time when everyone is skewing towards the pass, these teams that are beginning to run the football are having a lot of success. San Francisco 49ers, the Minnesota Vikings. But you look at the Indianapolis Colts, and I know we're so used to seeing the horseshoe and thinking about a finesse team, a team that throws it around the yard. But I believe they're really taking that adage that's on those hats in the locker room, run the darn ball. They are running the ball. They're committed to running it. And because it's giving them a toughness and an identity, and they're able to win with those running backs getting it done, and Jacoby Brissett making good plays and taking care of the football.
Well, flip it over real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Jags.
I did.
The Jags threw the ball 47 times in this game.
That's the problem.
They ran it 9 times.
That's the
They
problem.
ran it 9 times. And this is what's baffling to me is that they proved when they had that great year, right, and they go to the AFC Championship game, we talk about what's your formula? What is your formula? Run the football, play physical, play great defense, protect the football, and take your shots. Take your shots when they're available in the passing game. Throw about 47 times. Like, I know you want to get it. You're excited to see Nick Foles back there.
Too much.
And he made some plays to DJ Chark, who's another one of those receivers outside the first round that we talked about the other day. But that ain't it, man. That's not your formula. That is not who you are. And when you get outside who you are, you get beat down like this.
Flip, man. John DeFilippo, once again, this is what happens. I understand he gets his toy back. He gets the shiny new toy is back. Nick Foles returns, $20 million quarterback, and you can't wait to throw it all over the yard. But this team was winning under Gardner Minshew in a different way, and they settled into that identity. So now they're having to rework and relearn how they win games with the talent that they currently have, and particularly at quarterback. I just think it's tough, and I think they have to be a team that plays a certain way. Jacksonville, you always have to run it. You got to be tough on defense, and you have to be able to make these explosive plays. Right now, I worry that they're going to skew too much to the pass, and they're not going to be the team that they could have been.
Yep.
You guys, I'll keep it moving here.
Yeah.
How many times have you had the experience in the movie theater where you're watching a movie and you think a movie and a plot is going in one direction, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you're like The Usual Suspects.
Yep.
Mind blown, did not see that coming. That is the description of the Atlanta Falcons season.
Here's Ryan, play fake, looks, back to the left, steps up, throws, back line, caught, going across to the pylon, Calvin Ridley for the touchdown. What a play by Ryan to move up into the pocket and throw to the crossing Ridley for the touchdown.
All right, there was a little highlight there from the offense. And the offense really has been explosive throughout the season. That has not been the issue. The issue on the other side of the ball has been the defense. A defense that we've highlighted in specific weeks. I remember the Houston game, for example, rushing 3, dropping 8, and guys wide open all over the field. Big play after big play. Can't rush the quarterback. No pressure. Weeks on end. Just they hit the quarterback one time in one game. I mean, no pass rush. No plays on the ball, miscommunication in the back end, a complete and total mess. Now we come to the last 2 weeks against the Saints. They had 6 sacks. They allowed 9 points, 3 of 12 on third down. All of a sudden, this third down defense comes alive. Then this week, 4 interceptions, 2 of 14 on third down. They only allow 3 points. These are not bad offenses that they're going up against. And I think, Buck, you can speak on this. I know I've heard you talk about it before. But Raheem Morris making that switch from the offensive side of the ball where he was doing some work there to going back to the defense. I don't know how you don't give him credit for this, the way they're playing.
Yeah, I did give credit to Raheem Morris, but also Jeff Ulbrich, who is also helping out with the play calling. I think Steve Weiss talked about this.
Second down, right?
Yeah, Steve Weiss talked about this last week. I think on Aftermath, he
That's right.
Briefly
I teased it for you.
I was paying attention. I had to wait. Had to go to the source.
Had to wait a couple hours.
I couldn't get it. So, but look, I think the way they're doing this is great. Look, Ulbrich coaches the linebackers. He's handling first and second down, which are normally your prominent rundowns. Raheem is doing third down, their 2-minute package. And what they've done, and I give Dan Quinn credit. Dan Quinn had to admit that it was too much for him. It was too much for him to manage the entire team and run the defense. So what he did, he handed it off to 2 experienced players because Jeff Ulbrich was the UCLA defensive coordinator prior to getting to Atlanta. Raheem Morris has done it before successfully at Tampa, even in college at Kansas State. And these guys have been able to get it going. So now what has happened, they've got a little confidence. You wonder, if they make another run down the stretch and maybe they reel off 4 games, 4 or 5 more wins, what does Arthur Blank do then? Because Dan Quinn has taken this team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If he has this recipe together where now he's handed over the defense to these guys and they got it going, do we see him continue to have an opportunity in Atlanta? That's the question that I want to figure out.
You know, I think that's a legit question to ask. And I think, look, I've been a part of that crew that was wondering whether Dan Quinn was going to keep his job in the midst of this season.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of credit goes to the job he did, but also to the patience of Arthur Blank in deciding what was best for his football team and his franchise. And at this point, it was the right move to keep Dan Quinn going. He's got 2 straight wins now. And, maybe you can rekindle a little bit of that magic here. And this will also be an interesting storyline, as we continue on this season, and
a word we don't hear often in sports.
Patience. Yeah.
We do not hear it anymore.
Credit.
And maybe this will be the right move. Everybody thought the bye week that was a wrap, and Arthur Blank made the decision to be patient. Now, a lot of season left. They're 3-7 football team. I would think you probably got to be, get to 8-8 maybe. Yeah, that's a heck of a run you got to go on to get to 8-8. But hey, they're still alive right now. What you got, Buck?
Jimmy G comes through in the clutch, but he's still the 49ers' weakest link.
Garoppolo in the shotgun. Jeff Wilson Jr.'s in. He runs inside. He's got a 10-5 touchdown! San Francisco!
Feel great, baby!
Wow!
0 blitz. They set the whole kitchen sink at Garoppolo, and who comes up with the big play? The touchdown machine. Jeff Wilson goes up over his head, collects the rock, and rolls into the end zone.
Man, a lot of excitement there. Woo! They ready? You that excited in play-by-play?
Oh!
A lot of excitement there. Look, this game to me was everything that you want to know about the Jimmy G experience. The highs, the lows, the roller coaster ride that is number 10. Terrific player, a guy with tremendous arm talent. But once or twice a game, he is going to throw the ball to the other team. And you just wonder, when they get into the playoffs and they have to contend in the NFC against the quarterbacks that he potentially could be facing, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, even a Kirk Cousins, if it comes down to quarterback play, are you confident in Jimmy G that he can win a shootout if the ball is in his hands at the end of the game?
We just saw it. He just said, no, I get you. I understand your point. And I think, I had the takeaway 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, saying that Sean Payton should be the coach of the year for the job that he did navigating his team with Drew Brees out, Teddy Bridgewater in, tailoring the game plan. Look, Kyle Shanahan deserves a look here, guys. He's leading a team that's got the best record in football. He's missed his both offensive tackles for a large stretch of this season. Both they're probably the 2 best offensive linemen. Then you've got Quan Alexander goes down. We haven't even seen Jerick McKinnon as a San Francisco 49er. They have figured out ways to put guys in positions where they are suited to their strengths and making plays. We see it with Tevin Coleman. We've seen it with Mostert, with Breida. Look, the run game is one thing. We know that for sure. But again, this just comes down to Kyle Shanahan having a grip on this team. Kittle's been out for 2 games. I like the way that he has the pulse of this team and is always putting them in a position to succeed.
Can I give you guys one?
Yes.
We've done the boxing thing on here the last couple of weeks. I've been kind of a boxing thing, and styles make fights, right? Mm-hmm. So, I've been the biggest 49er, pumper there is. I'm all in on this team. the last 2 weeks, one thing that I've seen that concerns me is you're seeing running quarterbacks, athletic quarterbacks, because they use the wide nine, because they get up the field and attack, they leave themselves vulnerable to quarterbacks that want to take off and go. And now they saw two of the best with Russell Wilson and his ability to make some huge plays in that game last week, taking off and running. And Kyler Murray had some success this week as well. So when we look forward and look in the postseason, now you're not going to have to worry about that with Drew Brees. That's not the way he plays. Rodgers will extend plays, but he's not that type of a threat. Kirk Cousins, not so much. You look at a team like the Dallas Cowboys, and we've already seen with the Seattle Seahawks. Man, I'm just telling you that will be a big part of the game plan for those teams should they meet. We're going to see it again in the division with the Seahawks, but should these teams, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, see the 49ers, you'll look for quarterbacks to be able to take some of those seams and go.
Yeah.
And God forbid you run into Lamar Jackson on the big stage, because that would be fascinating to see that. They'd have to change it up a little bit. They can't get up the field like that. There's no way.
No, it is a problem. I will say this, though, to Jimmy G's credit, to Kyle Shanahan's credit, I wonder how would they play when someone finally stopped the run. The running game was a non-factor, and they were able to put it in Jimmy G's hands, and he was able to make enough plays, over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, had 2 interceptions. But this is the way that defensive coordinators will challenge the 49ers going forward. And I think we have to say this, and I'm not saying that the 49ers are overrated, but in the note it says 9 of their wins are against teams with a combined record of 27, 53, and 1. That's a .340 winning percentage. So you just wonder, when the competition gets thick, is this team ready to handle the step up in competition?
Look, we saw them go blow for blow with the Seattle Seahawks last week. So I think that they can be in these games. Now, it's a whole different story to win those games. I certainly get that as well, and they were in a position to do it, but couldn't capitalize. So, look, there's a difference between being close and winning. I certainly know that, being an Indiana football fan and alum. So, look, but I think that the 49ers will have a say in the NFC when it's all said and done.
Yeah. That's a great point there, Rhett, about Indiana. Anyways, let's keep it rolling here. This is a little alliteration. Sloppy Super Bowl sequel.
1:05 to go in the fourth quarter in Philadelphia. Sanders to the left of Wentz. Patriots are going to send the blitz. Matthews off. Wentz off the back foot. Throws to the end zone for Aguilar. He's open in the back of the end zone. He can't hold on. Ball knocked incomplete. J.C. Jackson recovering. And Wentz backing up. Throwing deep to the end zone. And the pass, Karam's incomplete.
Yeah, there you go. It was that would have been a tough catch for Nelson Aguilar. But other drops in this game, just sloppy play all the way around. Neither team had 300 yards offense. Third downs were awful. You look at Philly, they were 3 of 13. New England was 5 of 16. I mean, really, if you take out the double pass touchdown from New England, this is a 10-10 game. I mean, there was no offense, no rhythm. It was tough on the eyes.
Really tough on the eyes. And I'm going to say this. I know it's not a popular opinion, but, man, I wonder if the Patriots can win in spite of Tom Brady. We're so used to seeing Tom Brady being the focal point, the driving force of their offense, making it happen. But, frankly, man, he hasn't been great this year. We're talking about a guy that is on pace for his lowest passer rating since 2013.
Yep.
And look, 14 first half incompletions, most that he's had in any game. I mean, like this
first half of a game, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, this is not the Tom Brady that we're growing accustomed to. And I know he's older, and at some point, everyone falls off the cliff. I just wonder if we're at the cliff right now. I wonder if we're ready to jump over.
How many times have you asked that question?
I mean, I just wonder. Like,
I feel like
wonder.
at some point in each season, in each of the last 7 years, we've wondered that, and he's consistently proved
I will
strong.
say this though.
Yeah.
I'll say this: I haven't seen him miss this many bunnies.
Yeah,
like he has missed a lot of layups.
He's Dirk Nowitzki last year.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He's Dirk Nowitzki. He can't hit the layup. He can't hit the layup.
By the way, was it any coincidence that Belichick comes out in the post-game presser and says, yeah, look, it's hard to get a win. We got to win. It felt like the guys were having fun out there. Had a lot of good energy. No coincidence there, right?
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
But one thing, by the way, there's some themes we've hit over and over again. And I feel like last year with the Ravens, with the construction of their roster, we talked about man, build a track team around Lamar Jackson. You build a track team so that you can pay off all this running with big plays down the field. They've done that. We have the tight ends. Marquise Hollywood Brown's been a great piece for them, has given them some of that big play ability. With the Philadelphia Eagles, man, they are slow. That is a slow football team.
On offense,
I've been in draft rooms. I've been
Yeah.
in draft rooms. One year in Baltimore, we made the decision. This is going to be a toughness draft. We felt like we had lost a little bit of our edge. I think it was the year we got like Ben Grubbs, Marshall Yanda. We got tougher. We just this whole draft is about toughness. The Philadelphia Eagles, man, it is a speed draft. Really, both sides of the ball. They need speed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
with you on
it's
that.
just a slow team.
And New England ain't. Don't get me wrong. New England on offense, that ain't a track team either. Now, oof.
No, and I'll say this to your point on Brady, Bucky. This was the most disturbed that I've seen Brady following a win, I feel like, in a long time. I mean, he had a very short news conference after the game, was visibly frustrated. I mean, then this morning comes out and says, look, I am not, I'm not oblivious to the fact that the best pieces of our team right now are defense and special teams. And offense is a distant third right now. And that's where the Patriots are. Look, it may not be where they are come week 17 or the divisional round of the playoffs, because they can change quite a bit, but that's where they're at right now.
Yeah, you know what? Real quick though, before we move on, last thing. But this is the brilliant place that the Patriots have found themselves forever, because they win these games. Their division stinks, and they end up winning these games. They end up in a situation where they get a bye. You win 2 home games, and you're in the Super Bowl.
Yep,
They mastered it. They mastered that formula.
They don't have to be easy on the eyes.
No,
they got to find a way to get done for 3 weeks. That's it, 3 weeks.
And it's funny. I've heard. It's funny because this would be a far out tease, but Lou Holtz. I've heard him say this: you don't have to be the best team in the country. You only have to be the best team in the stadium. And so for the Patriots have found a way to just be the best team in the stadium each and every week. And so when we get down to it, they're going to be in a position where they can be a Super Bowl team because they just find a way to win each week. That's all that matters.
All right, Bucky, take us home.
The Rams get back to basics. Todd Gurley is the focal point.
Goff comes under center on 1st and goal from the 1. Kupp is in motion from the near side behind the line of scrimmage. The handoff to Gurley. Gurley goes up the middle, lowers his shoulder, sprawls to the goal line. Touchdown Rams! On top 9-0.
Hey, look, we wondered what was wrong with the L.A. Rams for so long. And I've been a big believer that Todd Gurley was not as kind of damaged as people had talked about. He was the guy that kind of made this offense go, and they needed to give him the ball. Well, lo and behold, Sunday night against the Chicago Bears, they finally give him the touches that he needed, and he responded. 28 touches, his most since week 8 of last season against the Green Bay Packers, had 133 scrimmage yards, most since he had week 13, 2018. He has to be the guy that they run the offense through. I know they gave Jared Goff the big contract, but it has to be about Todd Gurley setting the table for everybody else. He is their best offensive player. They need to ride him till the wheels fall off. If he's hurt or injured, so be it. But you have to put the ball in his hands because he makes the difference to this offense.
And look, they clearly knew what they were up against this week and what they were dealing with internally. Austin Corbett makes his second start as a pro, gets in at left guard. They move Blythe over to center. Edwards gets in, limited starting experience. Bobby Evans, first career start, rookie out of Oklahoma, at right tackle, and they made a commitment to running the football. This was Todd Gurley's most productive game, not even just from a rushing standpoint, like overall scrimmage yards, most productive game by far this season. And you know what I thought was kind of interesting? I watched the Rams post-game celebration speech in the locker room, and McVay didn't hand out any game balls. It's kind of a sloppy one. Didn't hand out any game balls. Called out a couple of guys for doing some really good defense, keeping them in the ball game, and then let Bobby Evans break them down after McVay was done talking. And then after that, John Fossil comes over and is like, "Oh, not done yet. Comes in and goes, "Hey, I think game ball in this game goes to to our coach, Sean McVay, for keeping us focused and keeping us level through the ups and downs of a season, and always doing what's right behind the scenes to put us in the best position to win football games. And he gave the game ball to Sean McVay. And I thought that was interesting because I was on a radio recently and somebody had asked me, hey, the Bears, not who we thought they were from a year ago, the Rams, not who we thought they were from the last 2 years. Which team do you trust most to turn things around? And I was like, God, I feel like I trust Sean McVay more to figure it out. And I think we give a lot of credit to McVay for what he does offensively, but maybe not as much credit for the way he handles his football team from a head coach standpoint.
I think Bucky, Rhett brings up a great point there, and that's the fact that he's wanted for radio interviews. I mean, I think that's what I took
That's my
out of
second great point there. Thank you. Winner. That's it. That's all I got.
Look, you're right. Sean McVay is so bright, and I thought things got a little bit stale, and I think they lost their compass a little bit. And Buck hit on that. I don't know what the deal is with Todd Gurley's health, but this train moves best when it goes through him, and when you get him rolling, all of a sudden now you get some shots, off of that. So that to me is what they needed to get back to, and wisely that's what they did. But let's be honest, it didn't take a whole lot of offense to win this ball game.
Definitely not.
That was ugly.
Definitely not.
No,
The whole Trubisky thing is now, kind of blowing up with the hip injury. We didn't really know that until after he comes out of the game and Daniel goes in. So, Buck, you want to sort that out for us?
No, I have no idea. But I think when you look back on it, I think with the Bears, here's the deal. You talk about in the locker room, Fossil crediting Sean McVay for kind of keeping them level-headed. I think what has happened to the Bears, the outside noise is beginning to creep in, and it's in the locker room. And I think just by looking at the sideline display of emotion with Mitchell Trubisky, it appeared that he got very emotional when Matt Nagy came to him. The pressure that he is dealing with of hearing the constant chatter of the Chicago Bears took Mitchell Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. I believe it is affecting him. I also believe it is affecting Matt Nagy. And I think at some point, look, man, your quarterback is your quarterback. Matt Nagy has to figure out a way to elevate Mitchell Trubisky, doing whatever it is that he does well, and then figured out the rest of the stuff at the end of the season. But he has to help his young quarterback get back on track.
I don't know if you guys want to see Mexico City here. Want to see a little Mexico City? You guys get a little view there?
Beautiful.
Yeah, a little Mexico City there.
You handling the elevation okay?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, boys. I got a good workout in, but it was all in kilometers. So
you don't know?
I don't know how fast I was going. It felt like I was really going fast, but I'm about to limit, so it probably wasn't. But cool city, man. Money's eating his way through town.
That I would have. Yeah.
See how that goes.
Hey, before we leave, do you want to give us a little something we should watch out for tonight between the Chiefs and the Chargers?
Yeah, to me, look, the Chiefs get healthy on the offensive line. They have all 5 starters back this week, which will be a good thing for them. The Chargers, on the other hand, they have 2 pillars of this offensive line. Pouncey's out for the year. Russell Okung does not look like he will play in this game. So the Chargers have got to use these tight ends with Hunter Henry and Virgil Green to help protect Phillip Rivers. But, man, protection with that offensive line, the edges were not firm last week against the Oakland Raiders. They have to get that cleaned up if they're going to have a shot against the Chiefs.
And look, both these teams, they try to stay in the hunt here. I mean, the Raiders are rolling, and we talk about the Raiders as a playoff contender. They're a contender for this division, so this is really getting interesting at the top, and this is a big game for the Kansas City
You guys
Chiefs.
Like my workout? This is my
your gear?
post-workout.
I mean, I like it. Head backwards, all of it.
Well, DJ's never worn anything that wasn't free, so we know that.
Oh, that's the one thing. I mean, I don't even know I paid for my underwear. I don't think I have anything on my paid for.
Too much info. Thanks, bud.
You can wrap us up.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Look, another episode of the 10 Takeaway Podcast here in Move the Sticks in the books. You can download the Move the Sticks podcast, Apple Podcasts, or on your favorite podcast app. You check it all out. Our videos, NFL.com/MTS video, or at the new channel over on YouTube. Leave a comment, write a review, and Daniel Jeremiah is saying hello to Ryan Yunt. Isn't that nice? There you go. That's for you, Ryan Yunt, on your way home when you're listening to this after the aftermath, which starts today at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. DJ, we'll miss you, but Baldy filling in for you, one of the founding fathers. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for downloading Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, and Rhett Lewis. For more, go to NFL.com/podcast.